All right, welcome to Indie Artist Survival Showcase. I'm your host, Courtney McKenna, and today I'm joined by Sweet Myths, my backing band, and also an independent band based in San Diego, California. Today I talk with Sweet Myths about what it's like to be in a band for over 6 years, getting your music out there online, and getting support from your local community. Before we get started, be sure to subscribe to my channel. You'll learn all about becoming a successful indie artist here in Southern California and hear awesome live music takes from some of my favorite upcoming and local bands.
Hello.
Howdy.
Yo.
Hi. So today we've got Diego Rodriguez, who is the lead singer and rhythm guitar player for Sweet Myths.
I'm Dylan. I play bass.
Dylan Farrell on the bass, and DJ Rich on the lead guitar.
I play the guitar.
And today he's demonstrating guitar for us. No.
It's a security blanket, as I said.
Yeah, it's a beautiful guitar.
So I'm so grateful that you guys are my first official guest on the Indie Survival Showcase.
We're also really grateful.
Yes.
Awesome.
Very happy to be here.
So the Sweet Myths and I met about a year and a half ago. We played a show together. They were playing with their band, and I was playing with my old drummer in San Diego at the Kensington Club. And I remember we were all standing outside and chatting, and you guys were saying that you wanted to do some more shows in LA, and it just worked out that I needed a backing band to play the Wonder Bus down in San Diego, and you guys were game. So it's been history ever since then, I guess.
Really has, yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. I remember it was not cold, but I remember you had that that pink crop top with tassels on it, like the fringes.
It wasn't cropped, but yes, paillettes.
Was it not? Oops. Well,
it was plastic paillettes, so it was a very rhythmic shirt.
so I was completely wrong.
Yeah, we were going to switch shirts, but it didn't happen.
No, definitely not. I had a pink flamingo shirt, so that would have worked.
Yeah.
It might have worked. I don't know.
Maybe we could do it now.
Part 2 of the podcast. So.
Only on Patreon.
And I know a lot more about you guys because obviously we've been playing together for over a year now. But go ahead and tell the audience, like, how did you first become a band, and how long have you been a band for?
Good question. Yeah, we've been around since 2016, and so we've been a band for roughly almost now 6 years going on 6 years. And yeah, we started after DJ and I. We were kind of finishing another project, and we just wanted to play with other players. And we found Dylan through working with him at A Reason to Survive, and then we also had an old drummer of ours who used to go to college with us, David Sullivan, who also plays some mean drums. A little bit after that, we've had a lineup change, and so now we have John Martinez on the drums now, and so we've been playing around San Diego, LA, and as well as we've recorded an album and a bunch of singles. So yeah.
Yeah, and the song that we're going to perform later in this podcast is called Days Gone, which is a really fun, groovy tune. Can you guys tell me a little bit about that song and how it came to be and when you originally recorded it?
It was a while ago. We all have different takes on how it happened, but I just remember that one kind of being one of the first songs that we worked on as a band. Sometimes we were using ideas maybe that Diego and I were working on, but I feel like that was something that came out after a 2-hour practice. We were just sitting around and came up with a couple chords, and then started going crazy jazz harmony on the bridge or the pre-chorus. So that's why there's a bunch of different chord changes. We could never make up our mind. So it's, we got through all of that. But I think that was one of the first songs that we really wrote as a band, and I really like that one. So it's a little history behind it.
Yeah, I think also lyrically around that same time, I don't know why, but either it was you or it was Dylan. But they were one of them was like, why can't you write any music that's happy? All your lyrics are all depressing. It's okay, well then I guess I'll write
Got a happy song.
a happy song. So yeah, that lyrically, that's pretty much it. It's very kind of like standard. It doesn't, or it's kind of very surface level. Whereas like I think now I like to write. While I still like to write kind of more earnest and just kind of straight to the point, I do like kind of like the subtext and imagery that you can get really creative with lyrics.
Yeah, surface level, but it's still very heartfelt, and I think a lot of people can connect to it in that way.
Right,
Yeah.
but I feel like it is it's more like kind of like it's up in front. There's really no like
Hidden meaning.
or there's really nothing
the
to look.
language isn't too artistic.
Yeah, exactly. It's
I
not-
guess after knowing you for so long, what's your favorite lyric out of all of those in Days Gone?
in Days Gone.
Yeah. You have a cheat sheet over there.
See, the problem is I hate I hate everything I write.
You want to talk about it?
I'll get back to you on that.
All right. Mystery.
Yeah, right. I mean, the concept is just enjoying like the little moments in the life. So like, I had like different little like lines in like my lyric thing that I would write just as ideas. And the first two lines in the first verse, the fire flickers on, and the heart leads from song to song, and the night goes on. That was like written from like some other passage that I had, like some other song, and I was just like, oh, I'll just take that.
Nice.
Yeah.
A Franken song.
The heart leaps from song to song. I really love it because it really feels like you're writing from the perspective of, musician and friends, and I think that really represents who you guys are as a band. And
I hope so.
well, I know you were playing together, even you two at least, DJ and Diego have been playing together for 10 years or something now?
It's been a long time.
Since
So
high
even
school?
before Sweet Myths.
Yeah, since high school.
Yeah.
It all started. Well, we were wearing the same Appetite for Destruction shirt.
Yeah.
It was really cringe. No, it wasn't. It was fine. It was
It's a good
whatever.
time.
Yeah, and then we played, and then we were in the guitar club together. And
That's
then,
right.
And then we just jammed.
Yeah.
And then your band broke up.
And then we got
And,
together.
yeah, you're like, we're gonna play. And then I'm like, okay, cool. So who's playing bass? And you're like, I got a friend who can play bass. Who's the drummer? Well, we'll have to find a drummer. Then who's the singer? You'll be the singer. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, it worked out.
So you were never a singer before that?
No, not at all. Never wanted to be a singer. I've always just wanted to be a guitar player. I was like, okay, I'm happy with that. I'll have to deal with like the whole frontman vibe. But now I deal with
But
the
you were
whole front.
singing before you went and studied classical guitar.
Yeah, but like I was never like ever trained. So I was just like, just do it, bomb it, or
It's very rock and roll.
Yeah.
do it and succeed. Yeah.
And Dylan, what you said, or they found you at a Reason to Survive. Were you also teaching there?
Yeah, I was one of the, what were we called? One of the teachers.
Teaching artists.
We were one of the teaching artists. Yeah,
Nice.
Yeah.
that was a fun time.
So A Reason to Survive is a really great program in San Diego, and
Specifically National City, California.
Yeah.
It's been around for a while now, but it is a art program that provides classes, both visual arts, media arts, and music as well. Some industrial arts like workshops and stuff like that at National City, and they provide that to youths facing adversity. So that's pretty much what they do over there. The music room there is actually sponsored by the Jason Mraz Foundation, and they built a studio / classroom there. It's pretty
They have a
sweet.
full sound booth, and we've been fortunate enough to record and practice there a bit.
Yeah.
It's been our little hub, our creative hub, yeah.
It's very cool.
Yeah.
So, yeah, what do you guys think? I mean, without that space, would it be harder to get together and to record? Like, tell me a little bit about how much it's helped to have, programs to support your own journey. Because I know that's how you guys met, and you created a lot of content there also. But just maybe from other bands and hearing from other people, do you think that your band would be really different if you didn't have that space to go to and to use?
Yeah.
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 Yeah, no, I mean, like, I think a lot of people forget that when it comes to non-acoustic music, so like music or acoustic music, so music that requires like an instrument to play, and like actual drums and actual like instruments being like having to be recorded. You need a place to sit down and practice, and you have to sit there for like months and months on end to be decently good at performing. And then there's the whole performance aspect. It isn't a like laptop with a bunch of filters and effects that you can just kind of figure out whether like by looking up a 5-minute YouTube tutorial. And that doesn't mean that there isn't craft in that aspect at all. In production, because that takes such a lot of talent, not just talent, but work to do. But there are much more hurdles depending on the genre that you're in. If you are not a hip hop producer, and if you're not like or EDM or house, there's just a lot more hurdles that you have to go through. It's just kind of the nature of the game. Like if you're a drummer, you got to find a place to practice. And you have to practice every day. You have to keep up those skills. You don't, like, if you don't practice, it's very much like working out. Like if you don't work out, eventually you'll lose all the progress that you made. And so having programs that kind of help take especially more of the economic hurdles out of that, like helps art. And I think the world is much better for that. Honestly,
I would agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, yeah. I mean, like, I love music and the music that's out there now. It's just obviously people kind of like wonder why there's maybe more of this one particular music over another. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that, well, like, it's hard to produce as quickly and as fast in this day and age when you're so bombarded with so much media, like I have this TikTok video I have to see, or I have this new movie series that came out that I have to see, because all my friends are watching it, or like, did I listen to the new, album by X artist, so it's, now you're being told as an artist, whether it be like in music, whether it be in film or anything else, that you have to produce as much content as possible in order to keep up. So yeah.
And I think one thing that I always thought was really impressive, and I know you may or may not see it this way because I've heard you describe it as just being lucky, but I know that, Diego, you have written several songs for podcasters that have really helped get your band out there. So
yeah, edgy political YouTube streamers with cats.
Now, how did that come about? I know a little bit about the story, but I think the audience would find it interesting because I know that there's a lot of talk about streaming as, the platform of the future. And
well, let me tell you, back in the day. No. So yeah, I as much as people would think that a musician listens to music and albums, and maybe these guys do. I know that these guys do. Sometimes for me, especially because like I'm either teaching music or I'm writing music or I'm playing music, like the last thing I want to do is listen to some more music for me personally.
So the podcasts were places that you were already there, you were already listening and tapped in and tuned into the audience there. Yeah,
the live streams that I was listening to were like I was just listening to them because I enjoyed them. And so yeah,
it wasn't like you seeked them out and then were like, I'm going to write you a theme song.
No, yes, exactly. That would be a little very unorganic, I guess. Because for me, it's like when writing for that kind of stuff, it has to be kind of like more of like a labor of love or coming from like a fan perspective rather than like I write a song for you here, because like the lyrics themselves like kind of have like other hidden meaning. Like I want them to have hidden meaning that only like the chat would know because they're all inside jokes or something like that. It blew up a lot bigger than expected, which definitely changed the band's like trajectory for sure.
Did you guys hear the song before it blew up, or like, because I know at first it was just a sort of like a individual project because I'm bored during COVID, right? And then you're like, well, let's
Oh, I forgot that was a thing. Yeah.
adopt it to our regular set because everyone loved it, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's kind of how it came about. I just remember hearing like the demos because we share everything. I mean, just being in music for so long, so the demos were great. It was just a huge question of getting, everybody together to play, especially during like the height of the pandemic. So it was just kind of figuring that aspect out. But yeah, after listening to it was great, and it really fit our vibe as it normally does since we're so chaotic.
He hates it. He hates it so much.
No, it's great. I love that tune.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, and so like it felt really organic, and I think one of my favorite parts about it is it not only kind of helped get us on the radar of so many people, but all that time we spent before putting our album out, like Rorschach, and just kind of looking into that. It's such a disconnected situation sometimes when you have people who are really close to you and are like, oh, this music sounds great, why don't more people know about you? And it's kind of like, well, we don't know. It's this big mystery box of how do we get out there? And so with the help of that song, it was sort of like all these people went backwards and was like, oh, look at all this other music that still exists.
Yeah, because you already had like a good amount of fully produced music out, so people could explore your catalog.
Exactly, yeah. So it was a really nice kind of situation. It all ended up kind of working out at the end of the day.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that because like I thought it was only gonna get us probably like 50 or like a couple like, oh, I like this, I'll check out your other. That was nice, but then I was like, oh, this has like 10K views in the the last hour. DJ, shall we just make it a Sweet Myths tune? Well, you were like, is this like your solo thing, or do you want to make it a Sweet Myths? It's like, no, let's direct it to Sweet Myths. Let's do it as fast as possible.
Yeah.
And before that, I know you guys were sort of struggling, like you said, struggling to see when you could come together to practice. Have you sat down and now, because you have some traction again, I know you have started to record a new song, you already finished a new one that's not out yet, that'll come out in the spring. Do you guys have any goals for the band? Because at this point, I think things become a little bit more real when you hit some larger numbers online. And, I know you play a lot of jazz gigs and cover gigs as well. So, yeah, any thoughts on that?
Coachella, no. You have any goals, Dylan? Dillster? Dill Pickle? Dillmeister?
Festivals.
Festivals?
Festivals.
That's it? Would you care to elaborate, baby boo?
Let's play some house parties.
House parties. I like that. I'm glad.
Let's play in the parking lot at the Padres game.
Nice.
Not behind the Denny's.
Let's play behind the Denny's.
Oh. I hate you. I hate you so much.
Yep.
Okay. What are your goals?
Yeah, I think what my band is trying to say is we'd like to go on tour. That would be really nice.
Oh yeah,
Be at festivals, Denny's parking lots.
The big T.
Yeah, the big T.
The big wild T. Yeah. We would like to tour. We've never really officially gone on tour. Technically, we've driven up to Sacramento, but like that's about it.
That was right before the
panorama.
The panorama came down. Yeah, paid us a visit.
Yeah.
I know we've been talking about possibly doing a Courtney McKenna Sweet Myths tour.
Ooh.
And
this is true.
I mean, there's been lots of things to consider while planning this tour, and one of them is definitely finances, because I think as an indie band to tour, you have to be very strategic about it these days. It's not just like you go and find people who might come to your show. It's like you have to market it, you have to consider all of the expenses that go into it. The internet helps, but outside of music, I know I run Facebook ads, and it's like it can be a total nightmare. So what are your guys' thoughts? I mean, this is the, indie artist survival showcase. So let's get into it, because I know for me it's like really scary to think about going on tour and having the goal be break even, but honestly after looking at the numbers, like that's a very big goal, just to break even on tour.
I mean, that tends to be like, that's the common problem for even bigger bands, even bands that are larger than us. I know that Adam Neely, his band Sungazer, was talking about how like they were trying to break even on the first couple tours, and it's like he has now like 1 million views on his YouTube channel, and even something like that is hard. I think part of that has to do with the nature of
Is he like doing music full time? Do you know?
I don't think so, especially with his YouTube channel. That probably.
Technically it's
Well,
music, but
yeah, I would include that. Like, I guess when I say music, it's like content is included as music these days.
Sure.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
For better or worse. I mean, here we are creating a podcast. So
Yeah, exactly.
Who am I to say?
No, he's a very prominent musical figure in the social media world. So yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and I know that
Is he an
like
accountant on his spare time? I don't know.
maybe
He sells life insurance.
Exactly.
not cloud insurance.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, and then you have like this other band that I love. The band's the artist is called Noah Guthrie. And the guitarist Rhett Scholl, he has a YouTube channel, and so I'm sure they have trouble with finances. I'm sure that it's a little bit easier for them, but because they're probably much more built into the music industry. But again, that's just all my own personal, like I have no clue. I just think that, yeah, I think especially with post-COVID, not that COVID is over, but like, I think just a lot of people are just not as willing to go out, as well as the fact that people just don't have as much money to go and invest anymore. So it's just harder to bring people out in general. And so like fighting that as a band. And so some people are like, well, that's why live streams are going to be the thing. And then you don't have to go out. You could just do it from the comfort of your own home. But it's like, there's so much like it's just so less.
You lose the energy of the crowd and like thriving. The whole experience is just so different performing with live people. And it's really like when some of our best shows, even if it's been only 10 people, I feel like it's the space, it's the stage, it's like every part of it, because we're there.
Yeah.
I think people
still thriving off of it. It's energy that builds and.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think about like some of when we were battling the pandemic and getting out of it, there were times where like we used, arts, again, going back to that, just to do some live streams when we couldn't play out, and people would come watch us, and, we did like a little benefit show, but we had a few live streams set up, and I do remember it being such a weird thing to get used to, just playing a song, nailing a song, knowing you did it right, and then having no response on the other side.
Just
it was
dead silence.
Yeah, it's pretty much a practice space. And I think the problem is that like people want to sit in their homes and do that, but then it's like, we like this generation and generations younger are like becoming much more lonelier. They feel less purpose, and part of that is like
because we don't have that human connection.
You don't exactly. It's like you want to stay in your own little box, but then it's like you wonder why you're so lonely. It's like, well, you're in a box.
Yeah, we're social creatures. We're meant to be together, and
but it also kind of
yeah, exactly.
But it also creates like that's one of the biggest importance of like going to live shows and playing at live shows and seeing live shows is not just because of the performance of the players, but like the communal aspect. It's like something happens and everybody in that room is sharing that experience. They know that experience, and that is like psychologically good for us.
But I wonder, I've heard mixed things where people feel like the scene is dead, if you will. I think one of the big reasons why I moved from New York was because through Instagram, LA had like such a thriving music scene, and it seemed like everyone supported everyone. And I've definitely found that to be true in like writing circles and, people inviting us out for shows, and if we played a showcase together or something like that. But it feels more of like a community amongst other musicians, not so much of like when I was younger in high school. I remember like, oh God, I don't want to age myself, but like,
Do it.
there were like
Do it.
Yellow Card or different bands that were
Oh,
coming
yeah.
through, and it's like it was just such a community of people who had like there was just such a following, who like people that went out to shows all the time, and I feel like I don't know if that exists anymore. Like there's not really like these smaller venues that people go to just see music. I mean, maybe occasionally like like we played the Lighthouse Cafe last night for New Year's Eve, and people were there because they know that that spot has good music. But I don't know if I could necessarily like pinpoint, a demographic. It's kind of just like a mix of everything. So it's just, you get an influx of people, but maybe not so much like, this place is for indie rock music and people love indie rock music. It's like, people are listening to very clean, super produced tracks, and so like it's almost like it feels like a dying art almost, of like the live band mythology.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, would you guys? I have thoughts about that, but I'm just putting it out there as a,
Dilster, I've heard you talk about this all the time. Would you like to speak on it?
Would speak on what?
Oh my! You're on a podcast, my man, and you decide to. Okay, no, it's all right. I zone out for a minute. Okay, so buddy, baby boy, I need you to let me know. Do you think that the live band, live music, is a dying breed? Why compare and contrast?
I can't talk about it. I think what the problem is going to happen if a lot of groups are going to be produced, there's going to be a sound consistency problem. So like if you go and get something produced, you're going to be, because everyone just wants, I want my track to be really good. So they're going to add stuff you can't do live. And then when you have someone playing key bass and then you have bass guitar live, those sound different. If you have fake drums and you have a drum kit from this era using these certain sounds, or you have just fake drums and then you have a live drummer, that's going to sound different. From what I've seen, a lot of drummers, usually real drummers, will put their own interpretation on the song, and it's very hard sometimes. Like a lot of live drummers or real drummers will put in a fill here. It won't be like a loop. So when you go see a band that's live, there's going to be improv parts, there's going to be added additional parts, and you're not going to have all the instruments that you had from the production. So what's going to happen in the next 10 to 15 years is there's going to be this problem that's going to surface, where people are going to realize, hey, I like this band on Spotify, but when I saw them live, they sounded like a different band. And,
yeah.
So that's the thing. But, like, I mean,
How do you feel about playing to tracks?
playing to tracks. Yeah, you'll have to play to tracks. But then you can't really, like, add to the form. You can't.
Yeah,
You
it doesn't
can't
become
change.
as live as an experience as it could be when you're just completely flowing with the audience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think that's kind of the beauty of live performance is that, like, I mean, you want them to sound sort of similar live, but, like, I kind of don't want them to play exactly what's on the record, because then it's like, at that point, it's like, well, then why am I going to see them live when I have them in my house, you know? Or, like, I have their music in their house. Like, I kind of want that kind of, like, divergence a little bit. I don't know. Because it's like, for me, like I said, it's like live music isn't necessarily so much about like the music or the performance itself, but more of like the event and like the communal aspect. Like, going to, I mean, this is not like a local show, but like the Foo Fighters shows. Like, the last time I saw them, like, it was at the Sleep Train Amphitheater show in Chula Vista, and this dude was just dancing, and then they brought him up on stage. And and Dave was just dancing with the dude, and like that's that aspect of like live music that like you're not gonna get if you're just listening to the track on Spotify. It's,
And I think if we had to tie this in and ask like what demographic does that look like, I think that's such a chaotic answer. There's so many different people that we'd never be able to like put it down. So I think maybe if the live band as we know it is dying, it must be because it's pushing against some of those conventional walls. Like I think about when I started as a musician, people were like, oh, like here I'll name drop some places, like you haven't made it until you played Casbah. So we've played Casbah.
Yeah.
Or you haven't made it till you've been here. And it's like, well, we have been there. And so there's still this disconnect of like, so how can we gain this momentum? And I think the longer that we've played, and maybe the pandemic helped us, but I noticed we've been able to push against that sometimes. Like we've even been able to go out and like busk. And it's such an old concept to just bring your music out and play and perform for people, but it's always a well-received event. So I think you still capture that energy of like being a live band without having to go to a venue, but then also people appreciate putting on a show in a venue. So there's so many different ways, I think, for us to maybe take that energy and bring it around and wherever we're going to go. It's just always, it's always going to have to be competing against that like productive or that producing like kind of electronic aspect of trying to perfect things, getting everything so produced. So maybe if we did have a demographic, it'd be those people who are like, you know what, I'm tired of perfectly tuned vocals. I'd like to hear a human play music. So,
it's like you see that in like movies. Like it's just so weird that music has like the opposite problem where people just are like, well, you know, that music has always been bad. It's just through like, you know, like through the process of like
Production.
not production. Oh my god, I'm forgetting the word. Hindsight. Like it's only through hindsight we were able to curate like what was the best of like a certain decade. But then it's like people will argue about like the problem with movie theaters being, or like movies just being like another superhero film, and we're able to like pinpoint like that's a problem, that's a unique problem in this modern time, that like most movies that get funding are like MCU films or like DC films or anything that involves like a comic book or like a superhero film. And I love them, but like at the same time it's like, I don't know, like we can't talk about why like there might be a problem with like you know, how like how TikTok and Spotify like really influence the way like what art gets produced and what art becomes popular.
Yeah. Well, I definitely have always wanted to, you know, create an album, but it's like because of the algorithms, even the larger artists are really saying if they put out an album, then they'll release the majority of their songs first as singles because it feeds the algorithm. And it's, you know, I love the idea of having a collection of songs because as a songwriter, it's like a song is only one aspect of a larger story more often than not. Like recently I started writing just about, you know, the climb, if you will, and the pursuit of success and what that means. And I think there's at least 3 different songs that I'm writing because it's like once I started to get the ideas out there, it was just like an explosion. And then, you know, there's a lot I can say on it, obviously, because it's not easy by any means, but I think that algorithms are definitely an interesting phenomenon that we are dealing with.
Definitely.
If you guys could have like any sort of like, how would you define success for your band? You know, like let's put all limitations aside, you know, barriers to entry, algorithms that are not necessarily putting indie artists first, if you will. What would success look like to you?
Dylan, do you want to answer that question?
It's gotta be me.
Yes, it has to be you.
We're not gonna agree. We're not gonna
Contractual agreement says you have to say 200 words. You're like 182.
Selling out shows, a sold out show, and making a lot of friends. If you could sell out a show, you make a lot of friends, you befriend your fans, then they'll want to help you. You get a lot more help from strangers than you do from people you knew for a long time. Yeah, you guys ever hear that saying before?
Nope.
No.
Oh, okay. Well, I can't recite the whole thing. You'll just have to find it somewhere. I can't remember it.
Just trust me.
Quote
Dylan
the mystery
Farrell.
man.
Yeah, just Google it or something.
1123.
You'll find it. But yeah, just sell out shows, make lots of friends, And, you know, if they like your music and they like you as people, they'll want to support you. I think. And have more faith. Yeah, I suppose. Don't completely go with what I'm saying. You could fall flat on your face. Who knows? No, I'm just kidding. No, definitely just do that. But that's what I think success is. It's not really about, like, making lots of money. It's about people listening to what you made. That would be nice.
It's a good one.
Yeah. That's lame, dude.
No,
that sucked.
I like that one.
That really sucked.
You know, I get it. I get it. You said something heartfelt, and you don't want to be made fun of, so you just, you know, reflexively joke. It's okay.
It's a great answer.
No, it is. What does success look like to you, David?
Just say charcuterie boards and almond milk lattes.
Ooh, that's pretty good. That's success.
Yeah, no, honestly, like, I think it's just what we're working on right now. I don't know, Zach, our old drummer, kind of basically said it to us we were all having a band heated argument, and, like, I think the question came up is, like, well, how do you know when you made it? And he, like, turns over and he's like, we did make it. We're doing it right now, and we were like
it's the journey.
Yeah, it's the journey, basically. Yeah. And so as long as we can keep doing that, and I don't know, maybe get it covered financially, so we don't have to do anything else, that would be great. So that's my only kind of stipulation. But otherwise, yeah, just playing music. That would be success.
I want to make a ton of money.
A ton of money.
I want to go solo, and then I'll have money.
Are you guys breaking up?
Yeah, I'm going solo, taking this shit. No,
Yeah.
I'm kind of in agreement with, like, yeah, you've made it. This is it. You know.
You're doing it. You're making music.
Yeah, you're making music. You're putting it out there. Like, that's it. There are things that I would like to happen, but I don't necessarily see them as, like, oh, those are, like,
defining you.
Yeah, defining momentums of, like that's success. And I don't know, I just feel like when you kind of put, like, a goal in that in mind, it, like, you eventually get there and you're like, oh, it doesn't feel like I like final, and it never is, because there is no such thing as, like, a finality or resolution to anything. It's just like you just do it until you stop. And I don't know, like, for me, yeah, I would like to see this band be much more, like, self-sufficient, in the sense of, like, funding is not like a thing that you have to worry about. We're able to focus more on the creative aspects, because for me, that's essentially what gets me out of bed in the morning. But, you know,
Is 6 figures?
7 figures,
7.
really. The 6-figure life is not doing it for me. I got to get the 7-figure life.
Sir.
Okay? And that extra figure is going to help me with
This
that
is
gas
before or
money.
after you go solo.
This is during the time
The
where
transition?
I figure out whether I am,
Oh, nice.
whether I'm not, whether I am Sweet Myths.
Okay, that's good. It's good to know.
Okay.
Sweet myth, just one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sweet myth.
No, with the Z.
Yeah.
So, to switch topics here, you guys have a new single coming out
Eventually.
early next year.
Maybe, possibly.
Do you want to talk about it?
Not really. No.
Okay, we can go to the next topic.
Yeah, I think that will be one of our goals. That's when I know we'll make it, when we're consistent on release schedules.
Release schedule, yeah.
That's when we know we've made it.
Yeah.
Honestly. No, seriously.
I feel that.
We have 2 new songs in the works. We've recorded and everything finished for the first one, which will be an EP.
Well, we talked about your new music, and we talked about some inspiration of your old tunes. We talked about, you know, all of the ways in which we as artists have to get out there, and, you know, some of our goals for the future. 2023. And, yeah, if you could, you know, give any advice to a younger band or a younger artist or somebody that's just starting out, what would it be?
I'm looking at DJ.
I'm looking. You seem
wise
like
one.
You've actually said the least, actually. I think I've beaten your score.
Oh, yeah?
Hey, there you go.
We're gonna time check it.
I wasn't going to say anything. And then
Yeah,
I
don't
beat your
ask
score.
Dylan for advice. The musty green beanie. He'll just say busk. Busk till you die.
Yeah,
Call
just
the younger-
bust. Just
younger
play on the
band.
streets with your card out until enough people see you.
Yeah.
They
I mean
follow your
that
shit.
is a fair
It's
point.
It's not gonna not work.
Okay.
That's true. So you shut down.
What are some advices?
What
Oh,
about you, DJ?
philosopher.
Advice. Well, the one that worked best for me was just really to figure out what works for you. And I think with that, it's not about like it's actually never about getting it on the first try. If you find the thing that works for you the first time, you're very lucky. But I think there's going to be a lot of trial and error that happens. Like I've, listened to everybody I could possibly listen to, and all the advice is always mixed bag. It's, go to music school, don't go to music school, busk, don't busk, like get into a pop band, play covers, like be original and authentic. And so I think when you're forming, you're going to find all these different places, and you're not going to really know what your voice is, and it will take a lot of time. I know for me, for all of us actually, like it took us going to music school, learning the fundamentals, learning music theory about how to apply all of that, and then realizing that even that has its limitations. So whether you're self-taught, whether you've gone to music school, I think none of those things are going to actually give you what you need. You just have to develop that internal sort of compass and then really rely on that, because I've noticed with a lot of people, as soon as you start listening to that part, you really can't fail. So,
Yeah.
That's what I would
I know. I
recommend.
always felt like I had a huge gap to fill because I didn't go to music school. I was self-taught, and now I have a music theory mentor who's giving me new ideas. But I think ultimately, I'm a better player after playing with you guys for a while. But would you agree that it's just still a constant journey of learning?
Yeah, I think if you've decided at some point, and I mean, this is a really big statement, but I think if at any point you decide, like, I've stopped learning, like, I've learned everything I need to know about the craft, then, like, you hit a dead end, and you thought that was the finish line, but it's not. Like, there's people I know have been playing for years, and then people we look up to, and I don't think there's a single person I know that's like, yeah, I learned everything I could about music, I'm hanging it up. Like, it's a lifelong journey, so you always kind of have to be open to that, and figure out where that takes you.
Absolutely.
Do lots of push-ups and drink plenty of juice.
Yeah.
Eat your green vegetables, touch grass. Music is a communal activity, and it's an active, it's like you're actively participating in it, especially when you're listening to it. It's not a thing that you just do when you're washing dishes or you're driving the car or going to work. And a lot of people, I think, kind of do that, like this very passive listening, but you can also like engage with it. And in fact, like in many ways, in order to, like, I feel personally, to get more out of it, you have to like participate in it. And when it comes to live music and live musicians, it's like creating a community of individuals to just perform for each other, to create just a cool thing. That's what it's all about. And like creating a community or a scene, if you will, can help you, it'll support you, like Dylan says, or like, can teach you new things, like DJ said. So
Music is super like DIY. Like if you want something done, you just got to do it. You can't rely on anybody to do it for you, because like nobody really cares about your success except for yourself. And like other people where you live, like in San Diego.
I care about your success, Dylan.
Oh, that's so sweet. But like in San Diego, like, most of the bands that I know, they're just starting out from their houses, and they don't know where to play. And then they play the typical places, but like they have to have a draw. So you have to go and play like house parties, which you have to throw yourself, or you have to play. I'd love to tell you a good answer for that. You got to play where people are at, and then you inspire others to do it too. So to build a scene, you just got to, like, say you go to a college, right? You're a band in a college. If you're playing and you're out there and you're playing, you inspire others to go, hey, we can do that too. And then they go out and they play, and then you coordinate with them. And then you're telling the community around you that, hey, there's good music in your backyard. You don't have to go on YouTube all the time. You don't have to go on Spotify and look for those artists. There's people around you that have great music you could check out. There's great people making movies around you can check out. There's people that are painters that are hanging up their painting in local museums you can go check out.
Well, we've got a song to sing.
We do. We're going to sing Days Gone from our first album, Rorschach.
Fire flickers on and on, the heart leaps from song to song, and the night goes on. Laughing in the back of cars, playing out very far. It's okay, okay. Rejoice those days that be few and far between, or the ones you even care until those days gone. The days gone. The days gone. The days gone. Hanging out with decent souls that cures the wounds and keep you whole, and the night goes on. The little things unravel now that bring you joy and keep you proud. It's okay, okay. Rejoice those days appear and few and far between, or the ones you even care until those days gone. The 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 days If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to like, subscribe, and share it with a friend. You can now save our cover of Days Gone live on Spotify.